As I've said in a previous show, the current computer market tends to be focused on just shoving RGBs into everything. You've got RGB keyboards, you've got RGB mice, you've got RGB mouse pads, you've got everything with RGB in it. It all becomes a bit repetitive and boring after a while, so this is the top 7 weirdest computer peripherals ever made. Not necessarily things that are made specifically for gaming, but can of course be used for gaming. Or at least someone had the idea of making some of these for gaming, and well, let's say that weird doesn't necessarily make them good or bad, just weird. So let's get started with number 7. The Novit Falcon game controller. The internet was all abuzz about this thing about 10 years ago. What was it apart from looking a lot like the portal gun from Portal? It was a 3-dimensional game controller with engines built in it that let you feel the games. Yes, we currently love what we can do with our Vive controllers that let us feel things through haptic feedback, but this thing actually offered you forced feedback meant to replicate the surfaces you were touching in game. Like let's say you were touching ice, you would feel it be slippery because the controller would move itself to replicate your hand slipping. You could also feel gooey materials if you wanted to. It also gave a very nice recoil effect in games that had guns in them. Games like the ones made by Valve, because Valve was one of the companies that really tried to support this thing quite a lot. Most of their games back then, up until Left 4 Dead, received updates so they would work with the Novit Falcon controller. But you can't say that it really took off or made people all that interested in feeling things in games. Probably because no one made a porn game for it. Number 6. The Alpha Grip iGrip Ergonomic Keyboard and mouse. Technically, it's both. This is a combination of a keyboard and a mouse in a gamepad format. It's a big gamepad format with buttons on every side. You see those joke mock-ups of the next PlayStation controller that had more buttons than common sense? Yeah, this is it. Someone actually made something like that, and the thing is, although it looked weird, it kind of worked. Well, at least it worked for games, because you have a bajillion buttons at your disposal, a lot of them being on the backside, where very few gamepads actually have buttons, even though there's plenty of real estate there and it's a very comfortable place to put them. And you also have a trackball for a mouse. So yeah, it's not necessarily a dual analog stick, though we could have probably plumped some in there and have that too, which it doesn't, but you could have in a future version maybe. But it did work okay for games. Thing is, this was also meant to be a keyboard, so all those buttons, yeah, those are individual keys which you had to learn which was which in order to be able to type. And that may take some use to years, maybe, well not years, but still many hours. And it wouldn't beat in terms of writing speed a normal keyboard, though the developer never marketed as being that. This was, however, marketed as being a better alternative to typing on the go than you could on a phone. Back then, phones not having touch screens. You could also do it while running, apparently. And yeah, it worked. It wasn't great, but it worked. And this thing is still for sale. And speaking of things that worked, number 5, the Trustmaster Fragmaster. The dawn of a new millennium approaches. Gaming requires something new. So comes the 3D first-person shooter where you could look up, down, jump, aim, rocket jump even. And such a genre would require brand new peripherals. In comes Trustmaster with the Fragmaster, a joystick made for first-person shooters. Not just any joystick, a dual-handed joystick made specifically for first-person shooters. One that actually didn't work that well. Yeah, speaking of things that worked, this one didn't. Not only did it have trouble working with games, a lot of them not recognizing it, but it was also kind of odd in the way that you move, the way that you aim, because it behaved like a joystick, not like a mouse, so so it really didn't have as good of a precision. And people have pointed out that it kind of looked like a toilet seat with buttons on it. It's probably better to trust Master than try to just make peripherals that are based on actual joysticks and gamepads and not this. It was kind of a silly idea. Number 4. The Safe Type Ergonomic Keyboard. Now this probably is the only one that wasn't gaming focused. Instead, this is aimed at people working at an office, on a desk, non-stop, typing away at that keyboard and, in general, putting a lot of strain on their hands. This was a keyboard that was meant to let you type in the natural position of your hands. And it turned out to be a really silly thing. Because while although basically slicing a keyboard in 3 parts and putting 2 of them on the vertical is kind of a neat idea in itself, it required mirrors. Like, they put actual mirrors on it, like it was a bicycle or something, or a car, so you could actually see what keys you were reaching for. Now personally, I think that this concept needs a revival. It needs a new version. Razer could probably do it with mirrors and RGB everywhere, because although the mirrors are useful, you probably can't see what you're doing in the dark. Though muscle memory would probably be very useful. It cannot be stuck with the thumbs though, because they don't work as well on the horizontal axis as they do on the vertical one in terms of accuracy of typing with them. Number 3. Brain control interfaces. There were a bunch of these. OCZ made one called the Neural Impulse Actuator. There was the Emotive Insight and the Emotive Epoch, and there were a bunch of these. I once saw the game Oni being played with one, in the sense that the player was running backwards and flipping, and that's it. He couldn't really do that much. Turns out it's kind of hard to actually control something with your brain. It can sort of be done, but it also requires some muscle training as well. Like, you have to frown a bit, you have to move the muscles in your face in order to actually get the thing to work. Now again, it works. It can actually generate readable data that can be used as input for anything through an API. It's not necessarily the fastest way to control something, or the best, but for people that can't use their hands or their feet, or to control something normally, yeah, it's something that could actually be useful, provided someone uses the API that came with the device to actually implement the controls in devices and applications that the user actually uses, which it's not a lot. Like, Netflix is currently having an experiment where you can control Netflix with your brain in case you're too lazy to reach for your mouse, keyboard, a remote, or a gamepad that doubles as a mouse. And no, that's not a joke, that's what Netflix actually did. Number 2. Teledildonics. I'm not gonna show any video of this. You probably know what they are. And if you don't, remember at the beginning when I said there weren't any porn games for the Falcon? Well, they have their own controllers. I'll leave it at that and not be banned from YouTube. And the number 1 weirdest computer peripheral is the Steel Battalion controller. What's weird about this? They never released it for the PC. This thing looks amazing. It is a twin joystick with throttle, with pedals, with a control console with a lot of knobs and buttons, even one that you have to lift a piece of glass to activate that your eject button. It was an amazing thing. Made for the Xbox and compatible with just 2 games. That's it, and it cost several $100s. You can get this to work on PC with some hacking and some APIs and some stuff, but if they actually released this for the PC, Capcom would have ushered in a new age of glory. Imagine this being compatible with a MechWarrior game from the start. Imagine having this being compatible since the get-go with Elite Dangerous. This is the gaming peripheral, the joystick to end all joysticks. A hot-ass who needs it? This thing has 2 sticks, a throttle, and 3 pedals plus 40 buttons and dials. Again, the weird part is that they never launched this for anything other than the Xbox and the 2 games that were released for it. Not the console itself, it got about what, 4 games, counting Halo. But this controller, this beauty, this majestic creation built for accurate mech combat cockpit simulations was just left there to rot instead of giving it wings. wings and let it bloom and spread throughout all the games industry and make it better. Yeah, it was expensive as hell, but still not as expensive as a Vive. Heck, it's less expensive than a Razer Hydro, which is basically the Vive's control mechanism. It costs just as much as the Oculus Touch. Imagine if when the Oculus was released, this amazing piece of machinery was on the market. It would have made VR look amazing from the get-go. Sadly, the best you can do is try to find one second-hand at prices that are now reaching $700 plus shipping. Well, that would be it for the top 7 weirdest computer peripherals ever made. Yes, the Xbox counts as a computer because that's what it is. It was a DirectX computer box. That's how it was marketed initially. Come back next time when, if my computer is fixed, we're gonna have a chat about GTA Online. You're gonna love it. Probably as much as you love the Diablo 3 show. I still get death threats from that one. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.